And we're live here at Memoirquest. It's all the way back, straight from the Matrix. And we have our special guest of the day, Hanne Le Fevre. Thank you for coming. How do you pronounce your own name?
Le Fevre.
Le Fevre. I like it.
This is a French name, no?
This is a French name, yes.
Cool. And of course, always with us, Mr. Henry Arthur Gibbs, all the way from Greenland, and Mr. 10 Cabbages off camera doing his main man thing.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, lovely. So,
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming on. You're like the third or fourth guest in our new little thing here where we talk to all the people that I and Henry and Jacobus know that we think are cool. And, just like to hear about some of your projects. So, tell me all about it, Hannah.
Okay.
Let's just start somewhere. Like, what's your, tell me one of the projects that you're passionate about these days.
Well, these days I'm kind of actually walking into a field that's quite new for me, since I'm trying to produce some concerts for just basically different artists and people who are my friends and that I'm basically a fan of, that I want to support. Like, one thing is the Corona thing, and another thing is also just... Oh, okay, we'll just adjust this. You happy?
Yeah, I'm happy now, yeah. Thank you.
I don't know, it's not like I didn't really have any thoughts about what's in it for me. It was more... I have a friend who builds these rafts and has the 70s couch raft, and I thought there should be some concerts on that. It's like, that's a good idea.
What does it look like?
Yeah.
So it's basically like 6 meters long. I don't know if anyone wants feet. Maybe someone can convert, but like 6 meters long and 2.5 meters wide.
Uh-huh.
Called Donna Summer, of course.
Donna Summer?
Donna
yeah.
Summer?
What?
Cool.
Oh, no, yeah. No, sorry, I suddenly thought Barbara Gold.
Oh, you did the synapse thing,
yeah.
Didn't you? Yeah.
Sorry, we have a story with Barbara Gold.
Yeah.
All right.
Who is not Donna Summer.
Who's not Donna
That's a
cool.
good story.
Okay, and what's going on with this raft? What's your idea?
Well, the idea is just to basically put concerts on water and like make them mobile, floating around the canals.
Awesome.
So people can watch them from the canals, and kind of it becomes a room in the room. Because like the water is usually for transport, and like we pass and you wave and whatever, and it's like tourists, drunk tourists and bachelor parties just roaming around in the canals. But thought it was an awesome way to
more.
This is
create
a
this
great
room.
idea.
Yeah, it is, huh?
I
Yeah.
really love this idea.
And
What's it called?
It's called Harbor Concerts, which is yeah. You could have called it something like, with stream, because we're on a stream and blah, blah, blah. But I really like the romantic.
Stream Dream.
Maybe that's also my issue. Like, Henry's been calling me classical a lot of times since I
I
arrived.
have, yeah. Did that
Oh, how many times?
Several times.
Well, at least 2 handfuls.
2 handfuls. Two fistfuls. Yeah.
Two fistfuls of classical.
Yeah, so that maybe explain why I think, like, the harbor, it has some romantic vibe around it.
No doubt.
Totes.
Yeah, and it doesn't Harbor Concerts. It sounds cool. It's a thing that's happened a million times before and hopefully happening, or like this kind of, it has like an old vibe.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Just like a good standard
has a
nautical
purpose.
term.
Yeah.
Just seems really good and standardized. Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? I'll tell you. You were kind enough to ask me and my band if we would come, and we're of course obliged, and I'm looking forward very much. And I was also like, so I know that it's actually quite a serious project. Like, I love your emails. Just lots of info, got all the things down. Let's get this going. Let's get this. This is happening. Like, I really dig it. It's like, you're really doing it out from just some kind of energy.
Well, the funny thing is that I've been telling myself several times during it, it just needs to be, casual, and we'll just but I kind of just get totally taken away by... Like, okay, now we're doing it, should be fucking awesome.
Right.
I don't want to do anything half. It's like, it's quite a good opportunity to, get really nice video out of it instead of some iPad you put up or whatever.
Right, and people are going to love it, and you're going to be able to fund it as well and all those things. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
And you're ambitious, I think, with the amount of concerts you want to set up, which I think is key to success, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
How many days are you going for?
8 concerts.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is June 3rd, and the last is September 12th, I think. Yeah.
So you're running for the finish line, actually, just in a minute.
Mm-hmm. We have a test run tomorrow.
Okay.
Which is 8 days before. It's like 9 days before today.
How are you getting the electricity out onto the floating barge?
We have batteries.
And
so this
they
Max
can just
guy,
run whatever. Max, yeah?
Yeah, so I just want to
He's
talk
your
a little
secret
bit about
weapon.
Max, because he's so Max.
Mm-hmm.
And himself, like, he's this entrepreneur guy who, like, he had a bar in Ibiza at some point, and he's been, like, living in the harbor with me, but he's been living there, like, twice as long, like, maybe 12, 15 years or something. And, so he happened to know the guy, you know, when people are in hospital and they're going respirators. So if the whole power goes down at the hospital, then you're fucked, right? So you want some generators ready to take over. But in between that, if the electricity goes and the generators take over, there's like a hole, right? So here they have these batteries, these motherfucking batteries, just standing, like, being a safety net. But they change them every 5 years. And he just happened to know, like, he's the kind of guy who knows the guy who's, like, polishing them and keeping them in shade. So
Nice.
yeah,
It's good
That's
to have those
cool.
guys on your team, eh?
Okay,
so
nice.
that's how we power the.
He's your secret weapon,
How
yeah.
you're rolling.
Yeah.
He's the one that makes it work.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
cool. So yeah, batteries. You must need quite a lot to sort of. So does that just? Have you found out if you're going to have like a PA system, like speakers out from the thing?
There's gonna be PA
Mm-hmm.
system
And
available,
is that, all of that.
which we're also gonna test tomorrow in terms of, like, weight and.
Have you got a route?
I haven't. I'm gonna put individual routes.
Mm.
You know. I sit down, look at my bands.
Mm-hmm.
Where should they be playing?
Yeah.
What
And-
songs are you going to be playing?
Yeah.
Mm, cool.
But also
I'm
little
gunning
bit
for the
up
big
to-
band on the raft.
Yeah. That's.
You're going for it.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if we could
That
just.
could be fucking great. Well, there's a big, like,
Gigantic
couch.
band.
Like, basically, you could just sit around the edges because it's like this shape, right? Like, it's a rectangular, and then there's a couch here and a couch there. So you could just and then have the camera, like, turning around or something. We could do something awesome. We'll figure it out.
Let's make a flotilla. Let's make an armada of floating bands that just cruise around the canals and just.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could even just get out. We've got people with boats. We could get our own boats.
Well,
We could
Just
get boats.
sort of
Yeah.
like
could
extend
have
the raft. a
Rhythm
bit.
section in
No.
one boat, guitars in
Yeah,
another
but I mean,
boat.
like
Make
if we're missing floor space, just pull a boat up. I've got some
Oh,
rafts
that's a
as
good
well.
idea.
We'll
yeah,
just put
but
some boat.
Max builds rafts. That's what he does.
Okay.
So that
Max,
all the
we need to
people
get in touch with this
moving
Max
to-
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a
Max,
cool
if
guy.
you're
Max, if you're
watching in the future,
Yeah, he found a business because Copenhagen is extending a lot, both north and south of the harbor, and they're coming all these new areas, which is like, for example, one they call like the new Vienna, because it's just these canals,
there's
right?
water in
And it's a
between.
great, like all these people just
dead
have like
water.
Yeah, no. Mm.
they have no balconies. It's just like out in water, so of course they want a little raft, so they can have a terrace.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good business.
Mr. Max,
So if
the
anyone wants a
businessman,
little raft, if
entrepreneur.
anyone just moved
Mm.
to one of these little Vienna places.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so that's, I mean, it's not,
Little Vienna.
that's kind of what I'm doing
That's cool.
compared,
Just right now, you're. That's what we're talking about. But I know that you've got
all the
an
others.
extensive background of musical projects
Yeah.
and also being a bit of a
Well-
entrepreneur yourself in a way, setting up things, right?
yeah,
Like for example, this.
yeah. For example,
Yeah. How did you get it? What's how did you get into music?
I think it was just what ended up being left. Because I always wanted too many things, as a kid. It's like, oh, you can't both, be doing this and that and the third. So I had to pick, and it just happened it was always that kind of came intuitively, which I think it does to a lot of people. I think it's, and to me it's therapy, really.
Yeah.
It's like body therapy
Mhm.
for myself.
Agree.
Yeah. And for the people, like, there's something about being in the room with voices vibrating and just being showered in. Like, I think that's also why, so I have both like a career as a soloist and as an ensemble singer, and I think it ends up being like I love both. It really has its things, both of this, both things. But there's just something about the togetherness or the like, kind of focusing your attention or your consciousness on the same thing, and like that presence is just so intense.
Mm-hmm.
Like which I'm sure you guys can also relate to in terms of the m.rexen project.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I could have also played an instrument, but I do play an instrument. It's just I carry it around all the time. There's something about like not that there's no. I don't need to do anything to be in contact with my instrument. Like I can do it anywhere without like being, you know, without needing to have anything.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you know, we just had Mark Fakini in. Do you know Mark?
Not by name.
No. Okay, yeah. He also talked about that the way he explained it was, as musicians, we get a lot of those therapeutic things for free. We through working with music, it naturally makes you have to do certain things that require, you know, that are sort of like self-helpy, self-reflection, maybe borders. You have to take down some border. You realize or recognize borders in yourself while doing art, or while creating things. You realize, oh, I don't want to go there. Why not? And okay, and it always releases in this by becoming a beautiful thing or an impactful thing. Yeah, I really like that way of talking about it, the whole therapeutic thing. That's definitely one of the main goals for me as well.
Yeah, I think, I mean, for my personal side, I had a son like almost a year ago, and being in like that space of not being professionally working, I could really feel this shift from going back to work after half a year. Like that, you know, so, I mean, I sing every day, all the time, also with my son, you know, so it comes natural. Also, there's a good occasion, which is a whole subject for itself, what that is, you know. But I could really, like, all the stuff that had been, like, kind of fighting within me, or, like, stuff I couldn't feel, or, like, maybe also losing touch of basically my body, or, yeah, my borders. Then suddenly realizing, okay, here's the skin. Here my skin starts, and here it stops, like. And I think it's so much in the space of, like, it's also the breathing, and, like, you know, things wake up and, like, become reflective.
Become reflective, meaning since that they can reflect, you can see them, or something like
it's
that.
It's like suddenly a mirror comes up in front of all your cells. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I can understand.
But it's not in a conscious,
in a way.
It's not so graspable.
Yeah. We're talking about specifically the work of working with your instrument, right? In a way, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like singing and being a part of it, and like how it can. Yeah, it's a very physical experience, right?
Yeah, but also the perfection. I mean, to come back to Henry's fists of classical raining on me.
Yes,
there's a lot of perfection in, and also talking about the work I do. There's a lot of striving towards perfection, you know. Like there's a lot of, because I do sing in. So I've sing, for example, in this vocal ensemble called Copenhagen, where like 4 voice groups and 3 in each voice, which I think what's so special about that ensemble in particular is, like, first a fact, for example, is that we own the ensemble ourselves. Usually there's like a musical director who like takes some singers, and then it's hers ensemble. But here's like we own it, so we hire whoever we want to musically direct us. So that does one thing, and I also think that opens up an opportunity for us to really shine in our individualness, you know, that we're really 12 soloists. And then, so it's both like 12 soloists, and then it's 4 voices, because the 3 of us, my 2 ladies in my voice group, like there has to be some sort of merging happening for it to really, so I'm missing a Danish word called, you know, for it to klinge,
Yeah, timbre, I guess, is a good version of that word.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does how does it work when you when you find musical directors or find composers to write things to each other? Is that like a collective thing where suggestions come up, or you research certain things or something?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely the space for like suggestions and stuff, but we also have our musical director, who's Paul Hillier, who people in the choir community will know, and he's like, what he's really really good at especially is putting together programs, and he like somehow he manages to not only get stuff from different like periods of time, but also like periods of like it has a depth to it. We just spoke about you're talking about like some kind of shade or identity or taste or smell of the identity m.rexen, for example. Or like, so this is the same. So the identity, the taste or the smell or the kind of sensation of Ars Nova, he has, it's his role, it's his job to like
to bind it all.
Yeah, to bind it together. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's our, you know.
Did you bring got a fist in your face there?
Fist face.
Fast face.
Nice. Well, that's really, it's interesting to me to hear about that way of setting up musical projects, right? It's like such a culture on its own. I'd love to know more about it, actually. Like so what would if this is not so traditional, what does the traditional style look like when you're in, are you in any places that are more like an ensemble, or like what are you saying, that this is like kind of untraditional setup?
The Ars Nova?
Yeah.
It's not untraditional, it's many traditions, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. So we both do like Renaissance, Baroque music, like totally in the tradition, you know. And then we do contemporary stuff and work together with, like we said, we've worked a bunch together with Avo Pärt, who wrote some things for us.
Nice.
So he flew in and we worked on, he wrote a piece for us that we then worked with him in that, you know, which was amazing.
I don't know him.
Legend.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think you do.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you would. If you heard his music, you'll know.
Yeah, you do.
Tell me about him.
So he's from Estonia, eh? And he's like, he's pretty... Oh, I'm so afraid he's not from Estonia. Estland.
Island?
Let's see.
Estonia?
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Otherwise, I'm really sorry.
It feels right to me.
But,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how old he is. He's like at least 80, I think. And he's like quite religious, as I've understood, and really, I mean, he has this presence that's just so childish, but but the depth of the child, you know, not childish as in the behavior, but like there's something totally filterless.
He's a spiritual creature.
Yeah,
he's
totally.
definitely a spiritual creature, and he explores his faith in music in this amazing way, I think. And it kind of like doesn't matter that he's Christian at all, because even though he is taking a lot of Christian music, he's exploring so much of the space and the kind of holiness of like held moments and careful, kind of slow. It's very, very beautiful. I'm sure you've definitely heard some.
Yeah,
sure, probably.
Very minimalistic, very fine,
transparent,
glassy sound, but also strong
and moving and strong and
powerful,
upsetting as well. Like very like intense.
It's like chest voicey, not the sound of it necessarily, but like it's, you know, you can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely check him out. So, but that would definitely, like, for example, that would not be done in the tradition of, say, Baroque music.
Sure.
You know, like, I mean, in that way, we're kind of quite adaptable. What we're working on now is an opera written by it's a Chinese composer called Workng, who's writing it basically from the plot or the narrative is the creation, like the Chinese history's story about the creation of the world, right? About there's like a lot of suns and it ends up being one sun, and there's a lot of stuff you can go into that.
I'm more into ancient China, totally. By
you know not about it?
I know about some things about it.
Yeah.
More like the Chinese medicine, Taoist kind of stuff, but ancient China, it's good.
Yeah.
So,
it's awesome.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, and so it's going to be put into scene by this American scenographer called Basil Twist, who makes these like meter-tall puppets. You know, like, I don't know, maybe 5-6 meters tall puppets.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're supposed to tour with that in Hong Kong in November, but it's like May now, and the Corona still like on the global plan. So and then to the States in Jan.
Tell me a little bit about that show. How does that work out together with the puppets and you
yeah,
singing and
well,
the
that's
opera
also
and
like
things?
that's a work in progress, and like without saying too much about what's going on in the eternal, because there's some friction in like how do we do that, because we're not performers, and well, I mean, we're not. I mean, I do performance, so to me, I'm like, yay, this is gonna be like I just want to work with
sort
those
of like
freaking
physical
puppets.
and
Like,
acting things.
Yeah. So, because
that's hard.
the idea is
that's
that we should be like knowing it by heart and then also acting.
Mm-hmm.
With the puppets, we had some workshop where we ran around it. We had a workshop here out in the opera, around the corner from here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, we'll see. We start rehearsals here in late September.
Amazing.
So now we're really just trying to learn things by heart. But
it seems like it's like a mixture of things where it's both you guys and these big puppets or something like that. You're not like singing the puppets.
Well, we don't know. Right now, what I've been able to work with in this period is really recording the demos. So we record some demos for the scenographer to have some idea about how it's going to sound, the whole composition of the piece, the performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I actually have no clue.
And you said, as I understood correctly, it's a rendition, a sort of Chinese composer that has made a musical piece representing Chinese history.
He is making it.
Yeah,
while like he's
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I think it's like it's basically a collaboration between like some Chinese, American, Canadian, us.
Who made this up? Oh, sorry, I mean. I think
it's Paul Hilliard's idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think he apparently Asnova has been doing a piece of this Huang robe before my time. I've only been in the ensemble for like 4 or 5 years. So it's. I mean, these things are like our calendars go like years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Ahead, yeah. So I have a tour coming up, and
yeah,
that's super. I mean, after doing a lot of the stuff where it's like, for example, like I'm doing now, it also feels like long ago that I'm producing something from scratch, because I've actually had a good period where it's like I just meet up at work, and I have my shit together, and I'm prepared, and then I go home, and I really appreciate that too.
Apparently my phone was not on Do Not Disturb.
But classical music is so many things, right? It's like...
Yeah. I mean, the most avant-garde music I've ever heard is in the classical regime as well.
What was that?
I don't know. I think it was a guy at a festival. What's the name of that festival? Here in Copenhagen.
Klang?
Yeah, Klang, yeah.
Yeah, Klang.
It's the guy doing just ping pong balls, for example.
Yeah.
After notes, right?
Is that... Oh, I should know who that is. Do you remember his name?
I don't remember now.
Okay.
Anyway, it's an extremely broad thing,
Totally.
And a lot of people, I mean, I've always thought that you kind of seem to transcend into a whole array of things, while some classical musicians are more dedicated to the one true style of being a classical musician.
Here in Copenhagen, at least, and I think I can say from many other classical conservatories or cultures around, at least in Europe, is really aimed at being an opera singer, being a soloist, playing, what you would like when you see classical music. Like when people ask me so you're classical singers like opera, and then they think about Mozart or Wagner or something.
Sure.
And that's it. But that's really just a teeny tiny period of like history, and also forgetting that like it's still happening. It's not like that's like the dusty stuff back there.
It's all about terminology. It's actually a terrible terminology.
It's terrible terminology.
Just like that Denmark try to make the other thing that's not classical and call it rhythmic.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh yeah, with the conservatory.
Yeah, it's just like...
and then go listen to Terry Riley or Philip Glass or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's but the classical word is equally silly,
Totally.
Classy. I like the classy aspect of it.
Yeah,
like
but then
classical.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be classy.
Just keep it classy.
But Klang, I was supposed to perform there. Like it should have been. It should have been now. Like this coming weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Everything's gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not. I mean, we've also had sort of like everything cancelled in the fall.
Yeah.
As well.
Everything's moved, but this will be moved too. But it's going on top of my Hong Kong. It was like a.
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
It was kind of classical. Like it could have been the ping pong.
It's not gonna be played in China.
The stuff I was doing at Klang, or
no, the stuff, the thing that you're playing in Hong Kong.
I
Chinese
don't know.
creation
Well,
story.
it's still.
But
books.
it's kind of smart that it goes
yet.
somewhere else as well. I mean, it would be nice if it came to Denmark, learn a little bit about it.
Well, we'll do it in Denmark too. It's going to play at the opera here.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, in October.
Yeah. So how are we ever gonna get tickets for that?
The opera.
Yeah.
We just walk in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just
where the sun is.
Stroll in and be fine.
Yeah.
Carry a ladder.
Yeah.
Carry a ladder.
Carry a ladder with our sunglasses and cool guy outfit on.
Yeah.
And
be
the
like,
cap.
And
cap.
just a little disguise maybe.
Yeah.
Have you heard this good old trick that if you carry a ladder, you can get anywhere?
Yeah, it sounds like that was what you were saying.
Yeah. I was thinking
I've heard
more
the
like
same of a chef hat.
I was thinking more getting in a window. You need a ladder or something. That's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah.
With a ladder, you can also make a bridge.
Also a bridge, and also you seem like a person that needs to get to somewhere, and that you shouldn't stop that person. He's obviously
they have something important
and
to fix.
busy.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you just walk in. I think the same goes for a chef's costume in certain. I mean,
I'm from the kitchen.
Yeah, I'm from the kitchen. I'm getting the shrimps. I don't know.
From my seat.
Yeah, it doesn't help for the opera. What are the different ways to get into the opera for free?
I'm drawing a blank here.
Lots of just do a Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas situation. That's not what we're gonna do.
just to reassure you guys.
Just what you.
Don't worry.
I've got a bit of lime scale.
We'll see. I'll see what I can do about that.
Thank you.
It's gonna be awesome.
That's what I was fishing for.
Oh, something on the line there, Michael.
Well, now you got it on tape, so.
Yeah, definitely.
Good job.
Hook, line, and sinker.
It's a very. I think it sounds amazing. Getting up every day and just doing the music, getting your shit together.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, it frees some time and space for something else.
Yeah. Henry was just reminding me that I'm not in the microphone, but it doesn't matter.
I hope it doesn't matter.
m.rexen is not in the microphone.
Make another cup of tea for you guys?
Yes, that'd be lovely.
A little bit there.
Yeah, I can. Can you like top it? Can it be topped like a cup of coffee?
Exactly. Top it.
So you have a 1-year-old child, Hannah?
Yeah.
How's that going for you? What kind of child have you got?
Oh, into these heteronormative. He's a boy. He's a boy called Arthur.
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 That's a cool name.
He's actually called Arthur J.
Arthur Day.
Arthur J.
Arthur J.
Yeah,
okay.
just Arthur J.
Arthur J. sounds almost like he could be a sort of Mississippi boy.
Well, he got good odds now, no?
Arthur J. O'Reilly.
Arthur J.
Oh,
Yeah, he's pretty
Irish
cool.
name.
He's learning how to walk.
1-year-olds are cool.
Yeah, he's like 10 months now, so he's
Okay, so he's standing up and doing all that kind of making good little noises.
Yeah, he can like get to my body himself now. Yeah, he's quite. Yeah, that's wild to be like someone's property, like someone, you know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
do you have a good setup that allows you to continue to work and do stuff?
Well, I think that's really what I'm trying to figure out. I guess that's my personal project. To figure out this whole. I mean, I'm still learning. I think a lot of
Big
people
journey.
think about, you know, so you become a parent and then you got it, right? Get pregnant, then you're in some transformation, but then you get the child and then you're ready. It's like it just continues to like, fuck, you get the child, then you're fucked. Then you need to figure out what's up and down, and and it just continues. It's like,
is there a belief in a lot of women? Do you think that having that as soon as it's over, then you can just go back to normal or something like that? Or
yeah, I think I think it's more like a culture, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know what they believe or not believe, but I like deep down, or I mean, there was a lot of like emotions and stuff you didn't know before. But it's just like, whoa, I didn't know that I could feel this ambivalence or this, you know, super ambivalence. You know?
Wow. Yeah.
Like at the same time as you feel claustrophobic, you're like, I need to get away.
Yeah.
Or like, and you need to go away, and then you're like, I can't go. Like I'm breathing this air of this kid. Or like, it's crazy.
Such an amazing.
But
if I can, you know, a piece of wisdom one of my friends said to me. He was like, "Did I tell you this already?" He said to me that he was, because he had a kid and it was really going hard for him. The baby situation was not going well. The kid was happy. He was good with his partner, but it fucked up his life. Like, it really took everything out of him. And then he got so pissed off when the baby cried and everybody said, "Oh, little baby." Because he was just like, no, nobody remembers how it was to be a baby. They should be sorry for me. I have to fucking listen to this thing. I just can't deal with this. It can't remember. He will never remember any of these things. I have to live with that shit.
But I mean,
and
it's
I was
the
like,
payback. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Just get yourself through it, and baby will be fine.
Yeah.
You know, can you keep yourself intact? Feel good. Get the love that you need.
Yeah, the love is important.
Baby's gonna be good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and those things are really more about yourself than it's about the baby.
Yeah, right. That must be the whole trip.
That is the whole freaking trip.
Yeah.
Like, you think you can avoid something, but you just can't.
Yeah, it always comes to find you.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, but in the first few years of having a child, your time is really deeply, deeply involved in their lives. And but you can keep in, because you're a singer and because you're a musician, and like you were saying before, like you carry your instrument with you. Your work never stops ever, right?
No, not really. No, I mean, I guess that's the bliss and the, what do you say? What's the saying?
Ignorance is bliss. Is that what it was?
It's the like pros and cons about it. You know?
Okay, yeah.
Say it in a less poetic way.
That's good.
That you like always at work and never at the same time.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot of people, especially in our generation, actually, and the generations around us. This thing of always being at work and having guilt. Our world has kind of changed and swifted away from the weekday work thing for a lot of people, not only for artists, I think. That then also encompasses the thing of always being at work, because you can always communicate, you can always do the thing. Then evolving in that many people suffer from the feeling of not being able to take a break.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the generations before, they've been working up towards and making this whole system of taking a break. And there's supposed to be a vacation here and things like that, because then you can deal with the other things.
Exactly.
And we, as a generation, kind of that doesn't mesh into that way of thinking.
No.
That you take your day off on the Sunday and the Saturday or whatever.
It's also because then you're in the system. Like it feels like someone had to give you the, to give you the break.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And then there was very clear rules about that as well. Don't call me on my break.
Exactly.
You can't you can't be calling. I'm on the meter or whatever. Like there was respect around that vacation thing that was needed and things like that. While now many people, because everything is so mobile, it's not a necessity. It's just
it was a very needed tool and a very needed. All sorts of things,
And now we don't. What are the tools? What are our abilities to do it? Where do we connect with peacefulness and being still?
Well, don't you think a lot of people want to rebel? Ends up rebelling. Like they want to get free of the system.
Yeah.
This break or this work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, and then that whole drill. I mean, at least for me, that's a conscious choice that. I don't want to live like that, and I do not want to live, or I do not want to work, for example, 37 hours a week.
I mean, all of that is insane. I mean, I definitely only like to hang out with people. I mean, I'll say it more coarsely. I think there's very important not to. There's kind of like an existence thing in it as well. The whole loop of 7 days that you're constantly in. It kind of feels like smart for a certain amount of things, but not necessarily smart for sort of spiritual well-being or something like that. Yeah, a sort of a broader perspective on life in a way.
Yeah. So it's one rhythm.
Yeah, you got to shake it up.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I always have to sort of reel it in when I'm generalizing about it. I guess I'm generalizing about a generation. Sometimes, we end up fucking discussing with people that we agree with all the time, and then we build our version of the world out from that.
Our echo chamber.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of people out there doing this, following the old grid and being happy with that and adding to the grid.
Just that their
lifestyles. Did I just see that New Zealand? They just did a 4-day week idea. The Prime Minister. That's a mainstream.
That could be Finland or something where they did that.
Could be Finland, because they're on that situation.
Awesome.
I love the idea that I personally live my idea out from that less is more. The 4-day week. Man, I can see that working through. Even though that I work, but I pride myself on not wanting to do any work.
New Zealand.
Yeah, what was going on?
She shifted her policy. The president. She
Can we see something
she shifted
about that,
her
maybe?
policy from using growth. She was like, we're not going to try and increase GDP.
No, but
we're going to try it. That was her thing. Was don't increase GDP, increase well-being of people.
Yeah, and decrease all the stuff that's making people run faster, like expenses.
Yeah, just a whole kind of
Mm-hmm.
national pivot for her was we don't need to make more money.
We'll just pull it up over here, have a little look at what's going on there, where we're looking at The Guardian. 4-day week as a new rebuild New Zealand after COVID-19. Yeah, so this is, actually when I just a completely other tangent. When I saw this headline first, the first thing that came to mind was, the left's got a bit of the power grab after COVID-19 in New Zealand. And other places, the right are going to do a bit of a power grab. There's just this, I could imagine a right-wing person being like, that's the worst idea ever. And being like, motherfuckers trying to take over after the COVID-19, putting into place all kind of crazy communist ideas, right?
Conspiracy theories.
And... well, I don't know if it's just, I don't know if this is a conspiracy theory. It's just more, if you look at this with the right-wing eyes, this is a serious problem. It's like, you're taking advantage of the fucking pandemic and putting in place your crazy socialist ideas.
Yeah.
It's just communism.
It's just pure Marxism, right?
It's Marxism, communism.
And we're nervous. I'm nervous about this in Denmark. Luckily, there was a law being made about what like a emergency law, right? Of we have to be able to test people even if they don't want to. We have to be able to do that. And in the law in Denmark, it was written that they can go into people's homes.
It is.
It was no.
It was.
No. It got. This was the thing happened is that it was agreed that except for one or two didn't want it, but they did it anyway or something, and they agreed that was allowed. But the next day, they amended it.
Okay.
Somebody made enough of a fuss. Probably the people from the left, from Enhedslisten, I could imagine, and probably somebody from that weird right-left thing we have called the Danish Folk Party, which is kind of a left-wing thing, but also hates brown people.
But okay, yeah.
But so anyway, so they managed to change that, and they're not allowed to just go into people's homes.
And this was a law that they made
because of the COVID-19, because they needed to be able to test people.
Yeah.
And then they kind of snuck that. Somebody thought that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, they took that away. But so did you read a little bit about this just now?
This was the 4-day week thing.
Shall we just watch that video that the Guardian's got?
My message here today is New Zealand has had a thriving tourism industry before, and
I love that accent.
Just the support we give one another through that pathway before we can get back to that level of normality. Some of the ideas being bounced around. Thanks, Grant. Some of the ideas being bounced around is just how can we support New Zealanders to
She's pretty good,
make the most
Yeah.
of travelling around the country. And
She's like a TV
if
presenter.
they had a bit more flexibility in terms of their
More
travel,
She's
then
Prime
they
Minister?
might be
Yeah.
able to do that.
Yeah, she's the youngest prime minister in the world, maybe. Or is that in
That's
Finland?
Finland now.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, Finland forever.
Ultimately, that really sits between employers and employees. But
Oh man,
as I've said,
she's
there's
got my
lots of
vote.
things we
Look
think
at that
about
$1 million smile.
Winning smile.
flexibility of,
Those teeth are
people
definitely,
working from
yeah,
home,
she's
the productivity
really
that can be driven
got a
out of
good
that,
smile on her.
really encourage people to think about if they're an employer and in a position to do so, to think about whether or not
She's
that
she's
is
very
something that
real.
would work for
I
their
think
workplace,
she
which
kind
is
of connects
certainly
with people. I think across the old divide.
So
I
she's
completely
basically saying.
forgot to listen to what she was saying.
No, I think but she wasn't saying there was a lot of other stuff going on. But I mean,
She
it
was
seemed
talking
like she
about
just said that
tourism.
It was
people
very
have been
New
starting to
Zealand-
think about it.
New
You know, that
Zealand.
maybe things should be different if this is something that's maybe possible in terms of their employers and blah blah blah. Was that about what you heard too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ish.
But
Yeah.
if we the whole GDP thing was a different thing. Maybe if you could find that Jacobins.
GDP?
Yeah, just New Zealand, like something about the growth, changing the emphasis of growth being economic.
Oh, I don't think you're writing. Oh, you're
Yeah, he's
there.
over there. Yeah.
Smart.
Ghost green.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just a totally different way of thinking about it, right? Like instead of trying to, run faster and faster, and like that's also how we talk about it, right?
Eternal growth.
Something we've been talking a lot about
Yeah.
actually in this podcast as well is the
Yeah.
slow living thing that the COVID has kind of brought about possibly in people, which is the just being still, having to just stay in one place, or just like they can't rush around.
Yeah, maybe it's giving them a bit of the mirror I was talking about.
It could
In
be
front of themselves. Like I think a lot of people
I think it's not.
suddenly this vacuum just came, and then they were just still standing in the air, like running, like you see in comics or something. Then realizing, okay, I don't have to go anywhere. It's like, and then suddenly being not having to do so much stuff that they
Yeah, and a
actually
bunch of them
realize
probably
that,
then
my
suddenly
nervous
fell.
system is actually there's something falling,
Yeah. Yeah.
Something.
Nice. I like that.
landing. I'm starting to talk slower.
Yes,
Listen.
in a way, it kind of when saying, yeah, maybe it has, like actually for sure it has, because bad things don't come alone. There's always, like, you never can realize anything good unless you have realized and become it and seen the bad thing. Like there's always a balance between good and bad things. Bad thing happens, good things happen with it in a way, So even though that it kind of feels a bit, we've had a band member that got COVID-19 who was in an extreme danger zone
Okay.
of it, but survived. And it's like, you when you say that some good things came of it, you kind of also get a bit like, oh, and then somebody died, and they all died, lots of them, and everybody got sick, and should be respectful of that, of course. But one can't help but notice that there are positive reflections in the behavior of people, or there's a community feel in a way. You know, like a lot of people. We just met a friend of mine yesterday who came into after a while, and she had "hug me" drawn into her head's hair, and I was like, shaved into it, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, radical corona denier. And she's like, no, radical social distance denier. We didn't talk any longer about it. Did
you comment on it?
I didn't, because we had something else to talk about that was like a personal thing. So I thought like, oh, I'll get it later. She's my friend, you know. I'm cool with that. And the point of it being that I'm not sure what her thing is, but I think that it's because that it feels extremely controlling. The thing of saying, yeah, that's right. You guys got to be more like lizard robots and never touch each other and stay away from the thing and stay at home on your computers and just communicate on the thing. Look at the screen. Look at the screen. Look at the screen. Like there's that paranoia coming over a lot of people and saying this is invasive as hell. Actually, I believe that we have our liberties, and even though that the government says something, I think them giving fines and shit like that is bullshit. People should be able to take their own responsibility at the end of the day. But it's funny to see that I actually think it's having the opposite effect equally. It might be, there are some people that are suffering a lot, but I think that there's also people that are coming closer together.
For sure.
Because that they're not allowed to be within the thing, so they realize how much they need it, and then they set up situations where they can be together anyway. And
I think that it's made people look at their lives and their relationships in such a much more focused and positive way often. But sometimes the most positive thing is that you realize, I don't want to be in that situation, or it's kind of like being in touch with what's good for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, but I mean, I think
that sorts out so much other stuff.
I think they did a bit of a mistake even calling it social distancing, because that's exactly painting that picture you say. It's like, look at the screen, isolate yourself, stay at home, be lonely, like just physical distancing or whatever. It's like it's not like you can be social without licking.
Social distancing sounds like some kind of like like it's a practice, like it's sort of like a like a whole. There's like some sort of agenda behind it.
It really draws some lines, right? You know. What's the difference between like social distancing, like anti-social?
Well, you got
wisdom, you know, it's something.
What would we call it if we weren't going to call it that?
I think physical distancing is actually used.
That actually works well, huh?
It's used quite a lot.
Is it?
Yeah. Don't lick on each other.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Physical distancing is totally.
That's the only thing I miss, actually.
Social distancing.
I think,
licking people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it like droplet separation.
Droplet.
Like, watch your droplets.
Yeah.
Something kind of snazzy.
Snazzy.
I think it needs a rebrand.
We started here.
Okay.
Something snazzy.
Crack an egg.
How's your career been affected by the coronavirus?
Well, things have been postponed mostly. I've got paid for a bunch of stuff.
Lucky.
It's just, I mean, I came from being on maternity leave for like half a year. Then I was just back for 3 months, and then the whole country closed down.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was in a good, I had all my anxiety attacks about like being, fuck, I'm only doing one thing. I'm only one person. I'm not, like the whole identity, you know, being a mother, and like, then you just, I'm so much a mother.
Yeah.
It's like, then you kind of, I wasn't out realizing myself, you know, in any other ways so much, because it's just taking on, and it's shit, and it's lovely, and it's like, you know, it was really a spiritual development. It's like, okay, who am I then if I'm not doing all these things, if I'm not, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's like meditating, just like, what's there then if I'm not that and that and that and that and that and that and that. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it wasn't so anxiety provoking. To me, it was actually like, quite convenient. Like we had some practical matters that was kind of a fucking nightmare. So it's like, okay, this kind of,
took away all the problems at once.
Yeah, but I mean then, yeah, exactly. But
that's why
still,
suicide
I mean,
is
it's
so
also
frowned
this
upon.
unknowingly. It affects the like. I still have to prepare the stuff. Like I have, for example, that performance at Klang, the festival was something I had to learn by heart, which, like it's like a piece for movement, or touch. Speaking of,
all about that.
Well, that I still have to like, since it was just postponed. It wasn't like I could say, oh, no, I don't have. It's not cancelled, so I still have to like keep it fresh in my memory and stuff like that. It was so weird when you're like, okay, how long
tough.
should I like what?
Yeah, that's
It's like now I can do like 10 push-ups and I need to keep on that level. Like
yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, so it's been a bit stressful.
Yeah,
you've done other sort of physical theatre as well, right?
Yeah, it's this. So one of the classical composers. To stay in that terminology, like you talked about the ping pong guy, there's a guy called Jeppe Ernst who I've worked a bunch with. I think this is maybe my 4th or 5th piece I'm doing of him. So he basically he writes music like as scores, so everything's written down to details like crescendos, like dynamics, whatever. But then it's not notes. It's not, you're not producing sound with any instrument or your voice. So it's notated movement on other bodies or your own body or on like a metaphysical body. It's very hard to describe in words.
You're doing well though.
So is it more like spiritual experience?
No, it is. So it's fun because it's really like I hate the word crossover, but it totally depends on the eyes looking at it. So a dancer would say it's a choreography, and a performance artist would say this is a performance. But he's a classical musician, like he's like in the soloist class. He studied for like 7, 8, 9 years at the classical conservatory. So he's got his shit together on like the all the technical stuff you need to have in your kind of as your instrument or your baggage. And then he's just found this language. So the first piece I did up was, so he calls it prayers and he calls it treatments. So I think, that could speak to like, is it a spiritual experience? It is.
Healing experience.
Yeah. So the first piece I did of him was a morning prayer to be performed in the morning, obviously. So we performed it at this festival called Hinskov Festival. Hinskov is a place on Funen, which is the island in between. So if you have Zealand, Copenhagen, Funen, and then the Jylland with the nose, Jutland. So someplace on Funen, just like down to the water, and then it was for limited audience, I think like 8 at a time. So I basically just sat in this little shed 8 in the morning and performed the prayer, which was just like touch on face in different. But it's all written down. It has a tempo. So I have the inner tempo in me, and it's written in parts. And it's quite amazing.
And I guess you have to learn it by heart as well.
Yeah. And everything is done with closed eyes. And so his debut from the Royal Academy was 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, it must have been ish. Where I did like the third part of a 4-piece, where this morning prayer was also just 1 out of 4 prayers. So there was the morning prayer for face, the midday prayer for hands that he did himself. Then there was an afternoon prayer for right or left foot, I don't remember. And then the night prayer was for penis. And so this piece with it, it's like, and it's amazing because it's like you think about, okay, then I'm just going to sit and look at penis, or I'm just going to sit at, there are a lot of things that, like, you just get aware that nudity, for example, is so dependent on context,
So I would find this as some sort of type of meditation. Just like, remember, Michael, we had a conversation some time ago about when you listen to the song and you try to isolate all the rest of the sounds and listen only one particular instrument in it. Or in a room and you just isolate all of it. So you kind of focus on the one sense of yours. So this would be kind of forcefully, there's no sound, there's nothing, and it's just the touch. So it's more like, that's the only input you get. So it is, I would feel like it's very like hypnotic,
very much
meditational experience.
At least to perform it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very spot on. Like.
How does it leave you feeling after?
Just totally calm. That morning prayer.
How long is each piece?
So the morning prayer was maybe like 8 minutes or something. Yeah. And so for his debut, he did this beautiful. I think so. That was called morning prayer. Then he did for his debut. I did some other things with him in between, but this debut I really found amazing to do. It was also 4 pieces, 6 performers in total. And the first part was for man and a woman, 2 faces, so they're dressed completely in black, playing on each other's faces, standing like maybe this distance or something between them. And then the second one was for 2 men with only dressed from the navel and down. And it was for their upper body, so they're like sitting in front of each other, like hitting, scratching, licking, all sorts of things that also has this erotic. It's like you get all these feelings of like what's basically amazing about this stuff that he composes, Jeppe, to me, is besides the music being great, is that the fact that the audience kind of becomes the one on stage, you know. Like that's the like it's so interesting to like that wall kind of disappears, where it's like these people we know that the audience, like you two and me, know that a concert and it's so much more than, it's not just what happens on stage, it's the whole room and everything that happens together. So we're all co-creating this. But then when you do something that can be interpreted as bizarre or sexual or like something that, that it does something to you, it's you don't go in and just, oh, that's interesting, and then you go to another talk, like those things where how much can I do that and what happens and how do people react, and that's really,
it's an interesting space.
And so the third part was for 2 women, where I did one part where we only dress from the navel and up, where we then play on each other's like legs and like also sexual organs. And
did you say there was music as well?
No. Well, so this also becomes a discussion about what's music. What do you interpret? Like, when is music present? Right? Because there's no written audio music, But of course, there comes consequences of the music, which is like slaps or breaths, because we also do this with our eyes closed, and we have to be in the same tempo, and so all that is kind of coordinated. Yeah, and then the fourth and last, the final, is all 6 of us standing, facing the audience, like playing on each other, like metaphysically. It's quite beautiful. I can really recommend checking it out. Yeah, so that's something I'm very passionate about, for sure.
I can tell. It's definitely seems like you found the blend of the things you do, or something, or that there's like you can involve lots of different aspects of your performer nature.
That's interesting. So does Jeppe Ernst himself insist on that it's music? Or, I'm sorry, the art piece, is it presented as music? Or talking about like the different...
Well, it plays on music festivals.
Yeah.
So it's like, and he's
seems very musical then.
Yeah, but
it's just
it is a piece of music.
This thing of saying that it can be interpreted as many different things, but as from its source,
origin,
it is intended as like it's part of the art piece that it's saying it's music. Because it could say, it seems like it could say something else, and might be, maybe he's like, I make performance art. I'm a performance art director. And then maybe that box would be that box.
Exactly.
But he has another insight into it, it seems.
Well, he comes from a place and he has his crowd, and he has, his stages to appear on it, but to me he just breaks that. Like also when we did that last performance I talked about now, I think what was it, 2 or 3 were ballet dancers.
Mm-hmm.
2 were ballet dancers. Then I was a singer, 1 percussionist, another composer, and then my partner is a...
Are you sort of like headhunted for it, and are performers?
Yeah, he usually uses the same.
Yeah, okay. He's got his peeps.
Yeah, and I'm one of his peeps.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. I'm very happy to work with him.
It's a very interesting sphere. So provoking, you know, even for a radicalized person as myself, it provokes all kinds of emotions. That kind of borderland performances.
What happens?
Well, like I go through anytime any artist wants me to feel something, I will immediately tell them to go fuck themselves. That's my initial experience of any. And then I, of course, just have to think about that. Why am I so neglecting of that? Oh, that's probably because of that thing. And then I'm like, well, that was pretty good that the artist did that to me, so that I could reflect upon that page of myself that I didn't shine a light on or have the capacity to shine myself. So, like, I always end up being seeing that it is valuable if it's good. So there, I definitely also have come enough place musical and performance and all kinds of things that want to play with those borders, and come to sometimes been frustrated that it's hard to give it any critique. But the more you do it, the more you also sort of become sort of aware of it. And I would say that sometimes, you know, I like to go to these things, even though that it pisses me off most of the time. And then at the end, I'll choose if it taught me something or if I think it was bad. If it was not doing the right thing. If it was just annoying me to annoy me, right?
So are you saying that so it cannot tell you to feel something unless it's good, what it makes you feel?
No, it's allowed. Pisses me off. It's not a good experience.
And what is that story about that you can't give a critique?
I think that a lot of people have a hard time giving abstract art critique in lieu of being, because of feeling talked down to by a higher intellect or something. Yeah, it was like you don't understand it, but not understanding it is not couth, you know. It's like so you have to kind of understand it, which stupefies and sometimes becomes a elitist thing within the art world, which I despise.
Yeah, me too.
And it's so hard to sort of like gauge that thing. So I just the
intellectualism maybe sometimes gets
where's the people,
bit, like,
you know,
gets a bit like give me something.
But in a way, it also works in there. But I think I'm not saying that this is what this.
No.
But I think that I do when for erotic, sexualized things. It's like but that's hard for me.
Yeah.
And then I often come to the place where I'm like, am I not a sexy man or what? You know, like yes, I'm. You know, like is this not what I do myself actually? Even though that I might not always be sort of like I'm trying. You know, I know I'm sexy or whatever. Like, it's like. There's a part of me that's using that energy and you know, and so it's a self-reflective experience for me always to see art that uses the body and sort of erotic things like that.
But you know, I was the one saying erotic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was saying that it could be interpreted, and I'm aware that they do, but it's not. That's not the point.
No.
So but people getting lost in these.
Being naked and
sexual.
Not necessarily, and not you know.
Yeah, but that it's not.
You might focus on that.
It's about context, right? Was what you were saying.
Totally about context. Yeah.
That's what you were saying.
But that's all my words.
Yeah.
So I think the only reason, like, that's words and I think reflections I've done from people. Like talking to me about it basically, or like also times where I felt like not defending it, but just like okay, I really want to reflect on this. Like what's up with that? Like why? And also I've talked a lot to Jeppe about it. Like so what? Why? Like what? Like It's like, well, it's really not the point. It's not. We're not trying to make a state. We're not trying to be Marina Abramovic, like doing, we're not trying to do that. We're not trying to make statements. It's like if you.
Does the piece of art come with a written statement?
Huh?
Does it come with a written statement?
Art in general?
No, this one, this piece.
No.
Interesting.
And because I totally feel like the same as you with like it's nothing more like, oh, back off, or like when people try and like, so now you should feel this.
I think I don't know. I think my interpretation of that like feeling is that something's been spoiled because you've almost noticed the artist too much, and it's like, okay, no, and now I'm out of the just being here in the art. But when I do like that feeling a little bit when I get disorientated in a piece of music because it has indistinct borders, or in performance art especially, when I've got a feeling that is maybe not very comfortable, let's say. It's not like a deep sort of pleasure, it's not in that sphere, it's taking me out of my mind into a feeling that maybe is a bit like, ooh. And when I get that, whenever I have that experience with art, I always take away quite a lot from it. Not necessarily that I expected it, and that's what's I think that's what's powerful about those things, is they can kind of take you a little bit by surprise, make you sort of have to like be a bit lost, and then like make your own projection, and that's a fun part as well. Because we all have the different projections, right? We all have the different, like, oh, that I feel that there in my body, or not there, and like this has all got so much layering of personal story that you can put when you have those things that aren't defined, But there's like a canvas of yourself and your own experiences and things like that.
Yeah, and you're mentioning this about like the art, the composer still there, like. It has to leave space for exactly what you're talking about, right? For this reflection, for this mirroring, for this like kind of space in between, or bouncing back and forth.
Exactly.
And it must be super
like, but you need to get fucking out of the picture. Like you need to get, and I think, I would definitely. I so feel that Jeppe is out of the picture of this. Like that's also how he speaks about it himself. Like this is, I wanted to. We were supposed to do what. I'm preparing now. I was supposed to do last year in May, but I was gonna give birth in July. So it was like, and then for a second we were thinking like, okay, let's just do it anyway. I'll just be fucking huge, and like be so the performance like me, and then 4 males like also playing on me and me. There's a lot of things going on, and it was like, fuck, that could be so wild. Like also this like female Jesus with big, or like, or is it Maria, or is it like? But then we were also like, okay, now it's becoming into something else. So I was like, okay, let's postpone it. We'll do it next year.
Jesus can wait.
But yeah, so I wanted. But then I was like, fuck, it would be so awesome because I'm only gonna have this big ball on my, like only one, like maybe only once, probably only once. Like I want to have this, like I want to do a. Like, have this recorded or manifested, or I want to do a ritual. So I wrote a piece inspired by, like, in his style, in Jeppe's style. And I remember I was so, like, I didn't even, like, it took me long to, like, ask him, like, hey, I really, like, maybe you would want to compose something, or, like, because I didn't want to, like, it's his thing, right? But he was just, like, this is, I mean, you've been with me from the start, like, this is just as much has become what it is because of how, we were talking about phrasing also. It's like, it's really about hand movements also, like, attackers, and there's a lot of handcraft in a way over that we've developed together. So you're like, just go ahead. So I performed this piece for like, it's just my big belly. Like, you can watch it also, it's awesome.
Oh, cool. It's online?
Yeah.
On your website? And I didn't find it. Okay.
What was the website? What was your website again?
poetryofnow.com.
Yeah.
Poetryofnow.com.
Yeah. It's a good website.
Thanks.
I dig it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Good layout. Well, that was amazing. Thank you so much for letting us into that world. That was really extremely interesting.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's thank you for your powerful work and your dedication to it. It's inspiring. So that'll be it for today. We have to mention our sponsors, of course.
Mm.
Delicious barn treats.
Barn treats.
Straight from the hay. named Mummers.
Yeah.
Mummers. Yeah?
Murmurs.
Crunchy
How do you spell that?
One Murmurs.
Murmur,
Crunchy
like
yet
M-U-R.
hey-y. Have you get them in the morning and in the night. That's it.
Hey.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah, you were great. See you another time, I hope. Anytime you got new
Always.
projects and things, maybe we'll meet after the big Harbour concert project.
Yeah.
Opera.
Oh, yeah, opera. We have to go to the...
Yeah, but let's meet before then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chowsers. See you out there. Bye-bye.